Anyway, yeah. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Well, I'm saying, Gary, is there anyone actually joined us? I'm not too sure. Well, we've got a comment from Matt. I gave Lukozer, I gave you about I gave you probably more notes than I normally give you for a video, did I not tonight?
Yeah, but to be fair, if you give me 15 minutes, that's more notice than usual. So,
That's fair play, aye, it is. I know. So yeah, if we don't have anyone watching, it doesn't matter. It's getting recorded anyway. So, how are you, Mr. L? Are you getting into the Christmas spirit?
now I'm as into the Christmas spirit as always. Yeah. You could ask me that question in fucking March and the answer would be the same. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've spoken. I think did we not do a bar Christmas humbug last year? I think we did. Aye,
it was either last year or, yeah, it must have been last year. We haven't been doing these for 2 fucking years, have we?
something like that. Is that right? What the hell? It's, it's mental. I can't believe it's an absolute fact that the longer you're on this earth, the time continuum, whatever, just seems to speed up, doesn't it?
Yeah, this year I'd have thought of any year, it would be the one where the time really seemed to drag along. It feels like March, when this whole COVID thing started, was only like, about a month or so ago. It's fucking December. The year has just absolutely flown by.
It's aye. I remember I was in a particularly shit job at the time when the whole thing kicked off, and we kind of became aware of it. I'm sure it was on the news about coronavirus, and we didn't really think anything of it. And then it was when it's there's a lockdown, and that's when people fucking hell, this is something real because we can't leave the house.
Yeah, to be fair, I think we were both guilty of that because I remember when it was first sort of starting and hitting the news. We were talking about it, and we weren't really taking it that seriously. And I certainly didn't. And I used to piss off a lot of people who knew me, especially my old man, for not taking it seriously enough. And yeah, now, yeah, I certainly do take it serious. And I I see on Facebook, Facebook really does know how to piss me off. And so you see all of these like news sites on there with saying about how the vaccine or whatever it is they're starting to distribute it, and you look at the comments from all the fucking tinfoil hat wearers and that. I just want to fucking punch them. I want to do more than that, but it's just fucking unbearable. It's amazing these people have the intelligence to even be able to type a word out, let alone the crap they do write on there.
Aye, aye. Will you get the thing when it eventually becomes available?
Oh yeah, I mean it probably won't be until sometime next year. I'll be amazed if I get it before February, but yeah, I'll get it once it's
Well, they're
around here.
concentrating on the old people, so I'll be in front of you.
Yeah, you'll be a long way ahead of us. Yeah, I think it's all like the health workers and and pensioners and that who are going to be prioritised, and understandably. So yeah, I'm not going to try and barge my way in. I'll wait my turn, and yeah, but I'll get it. When it's
How's the whole lockdown affecting you? I mean, personally, are you getting a bit pissed off with the whole thing? Or?
it don't bother me at all because really I don't socialise very much. I don't go out all that often, so I've barely changed my routine.
I think, to be honest, I mean, this has probably been the best time to be a YouTuber and a video gamer because, hey, you know, you've got all these games to play and stuff to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's certainly all right as far as gaming goes. YouTube video wise, well, I've barely done one. I think I've done about like maybe four since the whole thing started. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, obviously, I know you were going to kind of cut down on the sort of the. I'm not going to use the word retro in the older games. Are you still kind of taking a bit of a sort of sabbatical in that for that front?
Yes and no. Yes, I have cut down on it. No, it's not a sabbatical. I'm just not doing them at all.
Right. Do you think you'll ever come back, or you don't really want to
No,
talk about that? No, no,
no.
no.
I've no interest in doing them on my channel now.
No, that's fair enough. As long as you're still coming my channel, well, as you are at the moment, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I'll still get dragged on here, but yeah, I won't be doing them on mine.
For everyone watching, you'll be pleased to know that we still get to wheel them out every now and again. You'll be seeing a bit of them over the next couple of weeks. And a couple of specials. Well, I don't mean admitting we've got a Sid show. And I thought it was Sid show 6, so we've done 6 already.
We've already done 6. This is going to be the 7th one.
I'll need to, so we've got one of them. Well, it's not coming out. We've not even recorded it yet. We're going to record that one. I think it's Tuesday. So it'll probably be out the following week. And then we've got a sort of, well, I wouldn't call this a surprise. Something a wee bit different.
If you're talking about what I'm thinking,
yeah, one we talked about earlier on,
yeah.
I must admit, I was without giving too much away. It's a top 5, and I started. Panther had mentioned to me yesterday about it, and I was driving to work this morning. I was thinking, right, okay, yep, that. And then I started about tonight when I got back. I started typing on a thing because I'm terrible for coming up with stuff and then completely forgetting. By the time I go home, I go, fuck, what was that I was going to write down? So I've written down the definitive 5, and it's now up to 9. I'm like,
what we will be doing. It's ridiculously easy to say, right, I'm going to do a top 5, and then the next thing you know, you've got like 20 of them written down. With mine, and I seem to remember Panther was saying the same thing for himself. My number 1 picks itself. The other 4 could change depending on the fucking day.
Depends what kind of mood you're in as well, isn't it? Well, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a bit of everything. So that'll be probably coming out in 2 weeks' time, and then hopefully we'll get the Sid show out not next week, but the week after. So thanks for joining me anyway. Who have we got in tonight? We've got, so let's have a wee look. Yeah, sorry for the lack of notice. Again, I just thought I had to take my bloody daughter to McDonald's. Are you a McDonald's man yourself, Mr. Elro?
No, they couldn't pay me to eat that slop.
No.
Oh, that?
Do you actually like McDonald's? Forget the whole corporate thing. No, I'm not a fan of it.
Nah, I can't stand McDonald's food. I think it tastes fucking horrible. Well, I guess at a stretch, I could force some of their chicken nuggets down us, but yeah, that's it.
Nah, well, unfortunately, my daughter, she's just turned 17, but that's about all she lives on at the moment. So every Friday, that's my wee treat. And you know what? I wouldn't mind actually going there. The problem is, I don't know, since this lockdown thing's kicked in, bloody hell, it's like, I said to her, was it 3 weeks ago, I took her up at 5:30, and it was 40 minutes, we sat in a queue. So I said to her, right, I'm not taking you up till 8 o'clock at night, hopefully it'll be a wee bit quieter. And of course we got up there, a bit of queue, but...
mate, that worked actually. I was half expecting the queue to be even longer at 8, especially on a Friday.
Aye, well, when we went up, I think it was after the first lockdown thing, when all McDonald's and all that, they were all shut, and then when it reopened, bloody hell, I think it was about, I don't know, something ridiculous, like an hour and a half. And I started getting really, really pissed off, because I was like, do you really want a McDonald's? Oh, you're in the queue now, yes. If you want to go home, just go home. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to stay. You do that stupid thing. You moan, and then somebody says, well, don't do it. You go, I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah. I can never figure that one out. It's basically someone's giving you the get out clause you want, and then you turn around and say, no, I'm not going to do that. Why?
It was like when your mum, well, it wasn't McDonald's, your mum would say, you went out shopping, and you went on and on and on about wanting sweets, and then eventually just go, sweets, I'll sweet you in a minute, my lad.
Yeah. What the fucking hell does that mean? Yeah.
Don't make me come across here. I'll take my hand off your face.
My mum never used that one, but she did used to use some stupid line. I mean, to be honest, my mum used to say some unbelievably stupid things in her time, you know, and thankfully I can't remember many of them, apart from like the last few years when I was able, you know, when I was old enough to be able to sort of understand what she had said and completely pick it apart. And I think that's why she stopped in the end.
I've told you a million times, stop exaggerating.
Yeah, that one often crops up. Mind you, I use that one myself. So.
Or what's the other famous one was it cry? I'll give you something to cry about. No, what was it? What the hell was it? Oh, I can't remember what the hell it was. If you fall and break your leg, don't come running to me.
Oh yeah. That was yeah. That was
You're
another
like,
one I remember hearing a few times.
really late. It's only when you become an adult you actually realise just how absolute nonsense these things are.
Yeah.
The thing is, I stay in the Ava, so nothing really changes. Quickly look who we've got in. Oh, I've got 12 people, and that's not bad considering I literally put down live waffle in 10 minutes. So, yeah. So, what's your plans for? Like, I take it Christmas Day is this another day, really, for
Uh,
yourself?
you really lagged badly there. I missed that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, what's your plans? Just as a takeaway or something, or you make a bit of food for Christmas Day, you get turkey or.
I dare say I'll be doing the cooking on Christmas Day, which
Ah,
means, yeah, very likely that the kitchen is going to end up getting incinerated. But yeah, I've got nothing planned for Christmas Day at all. It's just another day for me.
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same. But you know the daft thing is, my girlfriend phoned me was it a couple of days ago, and she said, "If you're going past Tesco, can you see if you can get me some Christmas decorations or Christmas baubles?" And I went, "There's a bloody Asda 2 minutes down the road for you." She goes, "Oh, I've been to where was it? She went to Tesco, Sainsbury's, and was it Asda? I think it was." She says, "Couldn't you get any Christmas baubles? Sold out."
Around here, it's all the fucking external decorations around here, all the outdoor lights and everything, which I
Oh,
really can't stand.
they're really I think we've talked about this in the past, but they've really gone. It's like bloody America now, isn't it? It's just
Yeah, well,
really.
that's the thing, right? When I moved out to Canada, which was in '99, we didn't do that here at all. You may have occasionally got like on the news, oh, there's this house that's done it all, blah de blah. Out in Canada, of course, they did it all the time. And when I came back, I was sort of thinking, I think, fuck for that, I'll get away from all those, outdoor Christmas lights. No, of course, they started doing it here then, so, yeah, no, I wasn't getting away from it at all.
I know. Unless I'm just having a quick look what I've seen there. Christmas is for retro gaming. It is indeed. Do you have any particular Christmas memories of games at all?
Yeah, I got a few. I mean, I remember I got the original Elite on my 64 as a Christmas present.
Well, that's a good Christmas present.
And,
Was it
eh?
tape or was it tape or disc?
Oh, it's tape. I didn't have any disc drives for my 64. But yeah, so I remember playing that a lot that particular Christmas. And then I remember there was one I got Whizball, Arkanoid. So two great games. I also got Head Over Heels and Renegade. So four pretty decent, well, four big releases anyway. All as one Christmas present. Yeah, that was great. But yeah, they're the two that really do stand out for us.
Were they like four individual games, or was there not a pack?
Well, there was a compilation that came out. I think it was a couple of years later or so. But no, these were all individual ones bought for us.
Aye, what was it? I was going to say Magnificent Seven. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
that
think
would be.
yeah, it was a Magnificent Seven. Mm.
Aye. always remember going into like John Menzies, and you would see all these games individually priced at $9.99, and then just along from it, you'd see the multi pack for $9.99 with all of them.
Yeah, and yet for some reason I was always very sort of reluctant to bother buying compilations, even though you'd end up with the same game plus other games for the same money. So it was a bit of a stupid way of thinking. But yeah, I never really bothered with compilations all that often. I only had like 2 or 3. Soft Aid was one of them. I had Epics, so I had that was how I had Epics. So there was only 3 games, but those 3 games were Impossible Mission, Pit Stop 2, and Summer Games. So it was a fucking good compilation.
I certainly was for like a pen or whatever.
Yeah, £10.
It's funny. I was kind of the same. I don't know why. I think there was always something. I don't know. Again, it's probably just the laziness in me. Having a big compilation tape, and you want to play, I don't know, whatever, Drop Zone. You've got to fast forward it to a certain bit and all that. Where I would rather get the single game out, put it in, poof, away you go.
Yeah, I mean, it could well be that was why I wasn't so big on compilations. Because the other thing is, if your tape got chewed up for whatever reason, it wasn't 1 game you lost; it was 10 or whatever. In the case of Soft Aid, it was 10 of them.
It's funny how talking about kind of laziness. I mean, I've become so lazy. See, when it comes to like even something ridiculous like putting a DVD into a DVD player. I mean, what was I was going to watch a film. I can't remember what the hell it was. Maybe about a month ago. And I've got this app that basically has all the films on it. So I brought it up. I checked the usual suspects. Netflix. I mean, Netflix is good if there's something that comes out you want to see. But if you're looking for a particular film, you're not going to find it on Netflix. In the same way Amazon Prime, I've got that. So I ended up going onto this place where you can watch films. I thought, oh wait a minute, I've got the yeah, I tried to find said film, and I think I found it, but it was buffered and all this shite. And then I turned my head like that, and there was a DVD. And I thought I could take that out there and put it into the whatever it was. And I ended up just watching something else because I couldn't be walking the 6 feet to the whatever it was.
I do that all the time. So yeah. So many DVDs are just right here. I can just reach over and pick them out. I can't be bothered, so I just, if I haven't got it saved on my hard drive, then I just don't watch it.
I'm one of these. I mean, my girlfriend gave me a big, massive box of DVDs and CDs, and I got these 2 cracking big speakers, big old school speakers. They've not got sand in them, but they're like oak, and I've got these 3, I don't know, one's bass, whatever, and with it. I got like 100 CDs, and I'm one of these people. The same with my DVDs. I've got I've got a bookshelf. I've got a big shelf thing. What do you call it? Like a bookshelf. But I've got all these DVDs, and I'll never ever use them. But you know what? I'm one of these people that think, well, come the apocalypse when the internet goes down and there's no electricity. Well, apart from it, I can power my DVD. I'll still be able to watch all my films because I've got them in DVD. But saying that, I managed to find. I probably shouldn't even be talking this open, but there was a wonderful site that I stumbled across about 5 years ago, and blimey, I managed to acquire. It was something like, I don't know, maybe not 1,500, maybe about almost 1,000 of my favourite films. I'm like, oh, that, boom. And it was ridiculous. I remember I was like downloading. It was something like I had like 50 simultaneous downloads. It was like, and every morning I'd get up, like they've downloaded. And the great thing was, they're all like 1080p or 780p, whatever, and they're all like, I don't know, 500 meg. They're like tiny wee files, but the quality was fantastic. So what I basically did was, and they had every single thing. So there was virtually no film that I didn't have, and I just thought, great, I've now got them, and I've got a thing called Plex, which I can do.
I bet you haven't got Shark Exorcist though, have you?
That's on my to-do list. Not.
No, it's not. I couldn't even sit through it to the end. It was such a fucking shit pile that I turned it off. I had enough. I'm amazed I made it an hour through it.
You know it's bad when you actually switch it off.
Yeah. Don't waste your time with that one.
What was it? Shark Exorcist.
Shark Exorcist, yeah. It's a film that's every bit as good as the title tells you it's going to be.
I've never seen that. I mean, I've seen. Well, I've seen. Is it Sharknado? Was that the one where where it rains like mako sharks or white sharks?
Yeah. Utter fucking. I mean, the ridiculous thing is, you just know there are people out there who like Sharknado not because it's one of those so shit it's good films. They like it because they do think it's good. There are going to be people out there like that, and I really hope I never meet any of them.
A film that I mean, I was probably, I don't know what it was. I think being a kid of the '70s, we had. Well, I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I wonder why. Obviously, Jaws. I mean, Jaws was a game changer for the horror genre. I mean, it was just an epic film. And then, so at that point, I instantly got a fear of swimming in open water. You'll never get me swimming in the sea.
I mean, Jaws really did sort of like change a hell of a lot. It also changed everyone's perceptions of sharks in general. I mean, they're nothing like that in real life, But everyone is convinced that as soon as you're in the water, if you know there's a shark nearby, you can hear someone playing a cello.
The thing is, if you were swimming and you basically can't see, you can't touch the bottom, then well, for me personally, I mean, I remember where the hell was I? I was abroad about 10, 15 years ago, and I was out swimming, and we're on this a catamaran, I think they call it, and you can jump into the water and swim about. And I remember sort of swimming about, and I just went under, put my head underwater, and then I couldn't really see very much, and I just got this fucking overwhelming urge to get to the boat as quick as I could. And
I'm like that. I can't swim that well. I'm okay at it, or at least I was when I last tried, which admittedly was about 20 years ago. But yeah, if I'm out of my depth, and especially if I can't see the bottom, I panic. I've got to get out. So yeah, I'm not too good, certainly not in deep water.
That was definitely, what was I talking about? I'm trying to think why I was talking about sharks. So anyway, yeah, back in the '70s, I became really quite obsessed with sharks, and I remember any film had a shark in it. Oh bloody hell! Because obviously Jaws was a big one. Then you had was it Orca the Killer Whale?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, with Richard Harris in that one.
Oh man, that still reduces me to tears, because does it not give birth when it's hanging upside down with its tail? Spoiler.
That's right.
And then he hoses it into the sea, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a fucking dreadful film. I can't stand it. But that particular scene does really sort of like stand out. It's what everyone who's seen Orca, it's always that scene that they remember.
It was quite gruesome, to be honest with you.
It was, yeah.
No, I mean, I hate anything like that. And then, of course, it gets its revenge. By the way, spoiler alert, it gets its revenge because does he not end up in an iceberg and then it tips it up or something?
Yeah, that's it.
So we had, I think as a 70s kid, 80s kid, we had this inherent fear of sharks, and then you had things like, what do you call it? And this is another one, and it's even to this day, I'm like, and I'll give you a story. My favourite James Bond is not Sean Connery, it's Roger Moore, because that's the one I remember. Yeah, I know that's for another one. But anyway,
I can't criticise him. I do like a lot of Roger Moore's Bond films, but he's not the best one though. Anyway, yeah, go on.
The eyebrow. I think I've told this before. I'll tell you a story. It might have been somebody on YouTube, or was it somebody in a forum told me a story, and I just thought I really like that guy. I was going to say before he died, obviously. This person, I can't
As
remember
opposed to
who
after he did, yeah, okay, yeah.
this person, I can't remember, it was a friend or whatever. They were in a restaurant. He was in a restaurant with his dad, and lo and behold, Roger Moore was sitting at a table. So, what do you call it? I think he's like his wee boy, his wee or this wee guy's like, Dad, James Bond, well, please so it is. Oh, can I get his autograph? He says, well, you got no. He says, no, can you go and ask for it, Dad? So the dad went up and said to Roger Moore, is it possible you could give me your autograph for my son? So he wrote to Lukozer from Roger Moore. And then when he gave it back to the wee boy got visibly upset because Roger Moore, he didn't know who Roger Moore was. And Roger Moore spotted that and he came across and he said, I've just given you your autograph. And he says, do you know why I've put Roger Moore? He went, no. He says, because if I write James Bond, then the spies will know I'm in here and they'll come and get me.
Well, the kid bought that.
He did.
There you go.
That kid, I wish it was. I wish it was. But so anyway, there's a scene in The Spy Who Loved Me. It's not the one where Jaws eats the shark, but when they go, is it the two visitors? No, it's the girl who goes into the lift, and then the floor just goes.
Oh yes, yeah.
And when I was in America in 2014 with my daughter and my ex. I don't know what she stayed in the house. My daughter Ava and myself went to this water theme park, and there was this thing. You go up the ladder. Excuse me. You go into this capsule, very very similar to the elevator in Spy Who Loved Me, and then the floor just opens, and you just go and you fall like 100 feet. And when I saw that,
I'm not sure I'd fancy that one myself.
So I ended up. You need to. What would I be? I'd be a sort of 45-year-old man, and I'm there with Ava, who would be about 10. And I ended up saying, I'm not doing it. So she did, and I ended up going back down the ladder. But that, you know what? It's ridiculous. But it was, apart from the falling part, it was just that scene in my head. It's a weird thing. I've always had this fear that if I'm in something like that, it's just going to open up and I'm going to fall into a tank of sharks. It's weird.
So you don't like going in lifts or something, for example?
I don't. No, and actually now you've planted the seed. No, I don't mean lifts, but this, I don't know. That's again, it's just a kind of fear of that. But so yeah, getting back to where I'm talking about, I'll try and before I forget what I'm talking about. You know, you're probably the same. Any film, I mean, there was always the Disney films where you had you had the National Geographic stock footage, a shark, and then you'd see the guy going ah, and then you would cut to like the scene of a shark, and then
yeah. Well, they did do that with Jaws as well, didn't they? They had stock footage of sharks, in there along with the rubber one. I forget what they called.
Bruce.
It was Bruce. Yeah. I'll tell you what. One thing about Jaws is that it's one of the very few films I can think of where they changed the story from the book quite a bit, and it was much better as a result.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Have you ever read the Peter Benchley book?
Sure I have. Peter Benchley, I'm sure. I don't read many books. That's one of the things I'm quite ashamed of. I really don't read many books. So if somebody says to me, who's your favourite author? I'd go, Stephen King. I don't read many books. Rather than some obscure person that nobody's heard of. But I did read Jaws.
What did you think of it?
You know what? It was years. It was years ago. I've got a terrible memory. Well, it's actually a good memory for films because I could watch a film and then a month later somebody will say to me, oh, did you see the film? Yeah. Oh, see that bit where he comes out the lift and he does that double stuff, and I'm thinking, nah, I can't remember that. And so I remember that I loved a film, so I can then rewatch a film because although I may not know what's happening, I know that I've enjoyed it. And I'm quite happy to watch it. But I can't remember. How does the book differ?
A lot. The book, I think, is awful. Peter Benchley is a dreadful writer. Um, the big problem with it is every character in the book, whether it's Brody, Quint, Hooper, they are all totally unlikable. They're all absolute arseholes. So you have no sympathy for any of these people. Uh, you know, and well, in the book, Hooper has an affair with Brody's wife. In the scene where, actually, I suppose I should say spoiler alert at this point, shouldn't I? In the scene where he goes into the shark cage and the shark attacks it, in the book he's killed then. But Brody is sort of totally indifferent about it because he couldn't stand him anyway. It's awful. And of course, the ending, the way the shark is killed, is totally different. So,
Right. That's interesting. I was talking. I don't know, was it you or we were talking about something about. I can't remember. I can't remember who it was talking. I'm sure it was on YouTube. I was talking. We were talking about how if you don't have any affinity, if you don't like the person in a film or even a video game. I've played some games where you're playing a particular character and I just fucking hate it. Rainbow Islands, big eye mind.
yeah, that was the last video we did together, and you even gave the same example, Rainbow Islands.
I know. I mean, when you think about it, like, I know we're kind of going back to video games. If you took all the sprites out of Rainbow Islands and you got rid of the Jolly tune and you put in a Jaws theme track and you put in some real bloodthirsty zombies, it might be a game that I would actually play. But
it wouldn't be for me, because if you change all the graphics and that and make it all robotic and everything else, you end up with the Killing Game Show, and that's another shit as well.
Fair point.
I can't stand that game either. I don't. What do you reckon of that one?
Killing. Oh yeah, wait a minute. Is that not kind of similar to Iridis Alpha, where it's got legs and then as it jumps up, the legs kind of retract underneath it, or am I thinking something?
Well, it doesn't fly or anything at all, so mind you, I can barely remember Iridis Alpha, so...
It was a Psygnosis one, wasn't it?
Mm.
There's a bit of theme with Psygnosis, eh? There's a bit of theme with Psygnosis games. Was there, we're deviating again, we're getting back to video games, was there actually a Psygnosis game that was actually really good, that didn't have beautiful graphics? I mean, let's name the games that had great graphics and balls gameplay.
Well, we know where we're going to start with that one.
We'll take on Shadow 1 and 2 for starters.
Yeah. Well, Killing Game Show is another one. It looked okay, but yeah, it was a shit game.
Braticus. Is it obliterated bloody Pan forgot me to play in a live stream recently? I've still never forgotten him for that. I thought, listen, I've never played this until it loaded up, and I thought somebody's just changed the name from Barbarian to Obliterator.
That was the Barbarian clone, but set in space this time.
It was even worse. It was even worse than Barbarian. At least Barbarian.
It was.
Graphics.
Yeah, and this didn't even have the decent graphics to go with it. Then there was Awesome. They fucked up with Awesome right from the start by giving it that fucking title, because when you got a title like that, it's got to live up to it. It has to be awesome just to justify the title. I remember when I did my review of it. I was saying, and I still stand by this, right? The best, if there's anyone watching this who is a bit of a game developer, right? You might want to keep this in mind. The best title you can give to any game is "This game is shit," right? Because, right, firstly, people will buy it just so that they have, the novelty of having a game that's called "This game is shit." Secondly, if the game is shit, you can just say, look, I told you it was going to be. It's in the fucking title, for crying out loud. So, you can't really complain too much that the game is shite. If it is anything other than shite, even if it's just staggeringly mediocre, it's going to be far better than the title would have you think. So you can't really lose. So yeah, I think that would be a great name for a new game that's coming along. Maybe they
Well,
should have called Cyberpunk 2077 that.
I've heard all about that. I haven't. I was Panther mentioned that. I think it cropped up in the. Did I do a live stream last night? I think
You
did
don't remember what you were doing last
I
night?
did. I did. Yeah, I did an Arcade Perfect My Arse, which I don't know if you saw it. Which started off Arcade Perfect My Arse Centipede, and then at the end of it, I was playing the 3D Monster Maze in the ZX81.
All right, okay, that's a bit of a change from Centipede, yeah.
Tried to load Centipede, and it didn't work. And then I thought, okay, let's just give this a go. Let's get something that loads, and then we got something to load, and we thought, let's play a bit of that, and it was absolutely epic game, fantastic game.
Should have given Embusca dos Tesouros a try.
Oh, that's a spoiler alert from a video that we started about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
We'll get it finished. What were we talking about there? What were you mentioning? Yeah, well, of course, was it
Psygnosis games, yeah.
Oh, why Firebird? They brought out, was it Don't Buy This? You remember that?
Oh, I vaguely remember it. I never actually saw the game itself. Apparently, it was a load of crap. So,
But I think it sold. I think it actually sold. I
yeah,
think.
exactly because of the title. It's sort of reverse psychology in the marketing, and it works.
Now look at Frankie Goes to Hollywood with that twat. What was his name? Him with the stupid glasses. Saturday Superstore. He says, "Oh, this is an offensive record. Don't buy it." And
Yeah, of course, yeah, it went to number one. That always happened. Like whenever the BBC or Radio One banned a song, it just instantly meant that the number of sales for it sort of went up. At least doubled. So it was always totally counterproductive.
Did they not get God Save the Queen as well by the Sex Pistols?
Yeah, Sex Pistols. Yeah,
I think the same thing happened there.
Yeah, and it got to number one. So it was their own fault.
But I think those games, were there any actually good games? I'm trying to think.
Well, I know two that I thought really were good. Leander, that was fantastic. Which is weird because a lot of the time, if I see anything that looks vaguely manga-ish, straight away I don't want to know. I fucking hate the manga art style. Can't stand it. But this game is great. So yeah, that's one. And Shadow of the Beast 3, which of course was a bit of a commercial disaster because it came along far too late. Everyone had already been burnt by the first two. They weren't going to fall for it a third time, but the third one was actually a decent game.
Aye. I actually, Leander, I'm sure, did you not do it? I think we did a video that was like, it wasn't unknown, it was lesser known Amiga games that are worthy of playing, and I think they two were in yours, weren't they? Certainly
Leander and Shadow of the Beast 3 were two of mine.
Yeah.
There's another one that everyone mentions as being a game that played well as looked good, and I couldn't agree less. Agony. I can't stand the game myself.
Yeah, you're not. But you're not a fan of these. I mean, you hate a Apidia, don't you?
Yeah, I can't stand that.
You don't like Apidia. See, I love Apidia, but I'm not a massive fan of Agony.
No. The thing with Agony is everyone says it looks good. Well, right. The owl looks good. Everything else, no.
Was it done by the same artist that did Shadow of the Beast?
Roger Dean. I'm pretty sure it was like Roger Dean designed. I don't know if he actually contributed anything, specifically towards it. But yeah. I mean, the owl looked good, and the animation on the owl was good. I'm convinced actually that what happened, someone at Psygnosis just happened to do this animation on this owl, and someone said that looks so good, we've got to put it in a game. It's like, well, how do we put it in a game? Oh, who cares? Just get it in one, And so you look at all the backgrounds. A lot of the time they're quite dark. You can't really see, any of the details very well. And worse yet, like
Yeah.
the enemies that you're supposed to be shooting, a lot of them are like either very similar or are the same colour as the background, so you can't see them very well. Their shots are the same colour as the background. It's just yeah.
Aye, it's very. I mean, there's I think a lot of browns and different hues. It's almost like
Hmm.
they've tried to go for a very rather than I don't know a space alien, rather than drawing an alien that looks like a sprite with a black border around it and it looks like an arcade sprite. Let's get watercolors and paint a watercolor picture of an alien and we'll put them in the game. It just doesn't work. They don't
Hmm.
look like arcade games.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea. I mean, on the Amiga in particular, I didn't see quite so many games that had that sort of black outlining. It was almost like it was a continuation of the high-res overlay that some 64 games used. So the lack of that, I didn't mind so much, but at least, you've got a much larger colour palette on the Amiga. Make use of it, and they didn't. It was all like very samey, or at least in that game it was. In some they did make use of it. As much as I can't stand Awesome, that was one. They did make a good use of the colour palette there at least.
I can't. You know, I don't. When you were saying awesome, I was thinking of agony for a bit. I can't even remember what awesome looks like.
It's a space game. You start off. Yeah, your ship is a fair old size, and you rotate like 360 degrees, but it's the background that's rotating. Your ship is always pointing in the same direction, and you have to then travel to these various planets, and you then it's a very basic sort of space trading game, and then you travel on to the next planet and repeat ad infinitum. You can buy like upgrades to your ship and everything else, and I'm making it sound a lot better than it is.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm just looking. Is it got? Is it? Do you control a helicopter or something?
No.
No, this. Wait a minute. This says awesome Amiga. All right. Well, hang on a wee second. I'm just going to share my screen for a second. Yeah, go for that. Share audio. Right. Well, I don't know what the hell that is. It says awesome. That's not it there, is it?
There are bits in the intro there that is from Awesome. That thing that looks like the Space Harrier Dragon, that's from Awesome.
So what's the helicopter?
That's nothing. That's just some intro sequence. It's got a whole load of stuff in there. I mean, I've done a review. I've done a review of Awesome, and yeah, let's just say I wasn't a fan.
I've never. Can't have ever actually. That's always. I mean, that's a. They obviously reuse that constantly. I mean, graphically wise, you could not fault them. They were at the top of their game, weren't they?
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. It's all style. When it comes to actual gameplay, it just doesn't work. The gameplay for Awesome is ridiculous. I mean, bearing in mind that you're approaching planets that want you to land there because they want you to trade. Okay, so the landing sequence is. Firstly, you have to destroy that space harrier-like dragon that comes along. You got to kill him off. Then you are flying over the planet's surface, full of all these enemies that are all shooting at you and everything else, while you try and find the landing pad. Once you found the landing pad, you then got to walk your way around the platforms, which is full of these enemies that are all shooting at you again. And then you get to a final boss, which is guarding the entrance, destroy him while he's shooting away at you again, and you can finally walk in. And this is somewhere that wants you to land.
So was there just too many styles of game here? I remember I played this in a stream and I just found it completely. And it was like, whoa, inertia. I played it for about a couple of minutes tops, and I just found it completely uncontrollable. I really didn't have a clue what I was doing.
That comes as a shock. Um,
a bit of a phallic thing going on there with that as well, I think. But anyway,
Well, I can't say I noticed that actually. So yeah,
seen, never unseen, yeah.
yeah.
Right, so
Um,
that's just
it's
like Ackboys with fancy graphics.
to a degree, yes. I mean, I don't think it suffers from the fact that there are too many different stages. It suffers from the fact that the stages are they go from that sort of asteroid one, which is stupidly easy, to ridiculously difficult, and the actual gameplay, the actual game design, just makes no sense at all. You're going to these places that want you to land there, and yet they do absolutely everything they possibly can to destroy your ship and stop you. It's just ridiculous, I think.
Nah, now see, that looks a bit better. It looks like, I was just going to say that the main ship is far too big. So what's the purpose of that part then? Why is it? Why have you kind of undocked?
That's the part that lands on the planet's surface. But first of all, you've got to get past the space harrier dragon thing here.
I wonder what game they're trying to they've taken that from me.
They've really got full marks for originality for this bit, haven't they?
So is that basically it? You've got that, and then you've got the
And then you've skipped a bit as far as landing. Yeah, the other thing is you see the countdown there. No, that's your health meter. Yeah, so you can take 12 more hits. It's just.
I mean, the graphics. I mean, the graphics in that look shit, and yet the graphics for the sort of the space panel look really really nice.
Yeah.
So, I've not played that. Well, other than for a couple of minutes. So was that kind of a late game or what?
It came out after Shadow of the Beast 2, but before Shadow of the Beast 3. So I'm guessing it came out about 91, 92, somewhere around that sort of time. Actually, I think it was earlier than that. It was maybe like 1991, something like that.
Well, anyway, Lemon Tube Amiga disagree with you. They say awesome is another graphical treat from Psygnosis, a company who always tried to be a little bit different. This game is deeper than the average shooter with some exploration as well.
It's also a giant pile of shit. I forgot to add that bit.
You get a mention in this.
Oh, is it? Yeah, the Lemon Tube channel.
Aye, hang on a wee second, share screen. I'll just bring it back up again. There you go. Initially, I wasn't going to. Sorry, I don't know if you can read that. Initially, I wasn't going to cover this game for a while, but after Lukozer requested it.
The chances are I requested it because I thought it was a load of shite, so I thought I just reviewed it or something, so I wanted somebody else to suffer playing it. But I think he thought it was all right.
So presumably you kind of follow this channel, is it?
Yeah, not religiously, but yeah, it's one that I watch.
Yeah, nah, it doesn't look something that I'm missing anything at all. But yeah, I think we're still, apart from Leander, I think we're still trying to struggle to come up with
a Lemons, of course.
It wasn't pitched. But we're getting a bit of criticism here for not looking at the comments.
That makes a change.
I know, we're pretty bad at that. Let's have a quick wee look. The oldie gamer Steve's asking why you've stopped making game reviews. I think you've already mentioned that.
I answered that last time, so yeah, I don't need to go through that.
You've just seen enough, I know. Highlander, no more retro game reviews. Well, that's crap. You retiring for the video seems a bit like Take That disbanding or Robbie leaving Take That. Christ, you're leaving people in tears here. McDonald's,
how terrible.
Jesus Christ, just eat it with a local skip.
Yeah, that's probably the better option, I think.
What's Christian saying? I would imagine a McDonald's meal would kill the coronavirus if one gets infected. Of course, it kills the body too. Yeah, apparently it gives you cancer.
Yeah, apparently everything gives you cancer, so you know.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Christian's wondering who. I was going to ask you that as well. Did you fall on the keyboard before you came on?
Uh, you don't know what C4H for ASH is.
No, no.
Uh, it's a chemical formula.
Oh, is it?
Mm.
Bloody hell. See, right. I mean, so that would be carbon, oxygen. So there's four rings of carbon, four rings of hydrogen. AS. Christ, what would you? I actually I got an A in chemistry for my higher, for my O grade, and I passed my higher AS. Oh Christ, what would that be? No potassium, I can't remember.
Arsenic.
Arsenic, is it?
Yeah.
What is that then? What's that chemical formula for?
It's a substance called arsole.
Seriously, I.
Yeah, that is genuinely what it's called. If you look at the actual diagram of the molecule, you can see how it got its name.
Oh really? Is that a kind of kid on name for it? Is that like a
No, that is genuinely how it got its name.
arsehole? Fantastic. So I don't know why I'm thinking of that. Have you ever watched there's a YouTube channel? I think it was on, in fact, it was actually on TV, and I can't for the life of me remember. And he basically does like kind of satirical, like, he does these kind of like, it's not piss takes, he does these like schools for colleges programs, and it's all Peter somebody another, I can't remember what the hell he's called, he was a comedian back in the 90s, and it's all like, it's all about, and we're now going to, I don't know, burn carbon, and you see them putting it into like the test tube. It's basically like what the kind of programs you used to get at school. I can't for life know what it's called. I'll need to find out.
Doesn't ring a bell with me.
Peter, wow, if my mate Neil's in tonight, I don't know if Neil's watching this. He was the guy that told me about it. Yeah, Craig Flanagan's saying you apparently can't get any decorations just now.
Oh, what a shame.
Bloody hell. I know. Yeah, sorry, Neil is saying here Al's Elvis painting is on fire. Yeah, but we were mentioning that just before we went live. I haven't a bloody clue what's going on there. That's a weird thing.
Mm.
What
I
is that?
I don't know. I think maybe it's saying that your webcam's a bit fucked up.
I don't know. I'll give it a wee.
Yeah, now you made it. Yeah.
That looks like another brick in the wall. Look at my telly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, all right. Hang on. Why are we getting a brick effect?
Well, you've obviously got a green screen thing going on there, unintentionally, but yeah, there's obviously something like that going on.
That's weird. I'm using StreamYard. How? I don't know. I have no idea.
It must be an option within your webcam settings.
No, I don't know. Bizarre that it's only doing it on that thing, isn't it? That's weird. Anyway, right, I'm going to. Let's see what's Matt saying here. I remember getting an ST for Christmas one year and had to look surprised on the big day. We all did that, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember doing stuff like that. Yeah,
that was probably the first time where you really felt that you were bad. You were really doing something bad going in and looking at your Christmas.
Oh, I didn't feel bad about it at all. I thought it was all right. Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, what was it? What was the thing? The two things that I really remember doing that on. It was a remote control car, but I mean, it was shit. I mean, it was I think it was a Lamborghini, and it had a fucking. It just, I mean, it was like left and right and forward, but it had the wire.
Oh yeah, the old like late 70s remotes. Do you remember the old remote controls for like the televisions and videos that used to have that? And there's like 30-foot cable that went out. Connected the remote control to the unit. What the fucking hell was that?
So you'd be sitting there watching Quadrophenia, and then you'd think, oh, tell you what, we'll pause it. I'm needing the toilet, I'll pause it. And rather than going up fucking pausing it, you would then, I'll just get the remote control and you get up and let it get out your feet and then you unravel it. You see it was like a 40-metre cable.
That really was not a good idea. That
And I think all you could do was it play and pause, and could you maybe do fast forwards and backwards? I think possibly.
Yeah, I think at a stretch it might have done those, but that was it.
But yeah, so I had that remote control car, and I remember finding it, and the problem was, I mean, it had like a plastic, it had the plastic see-through bit so you could see the car, but the problem was it was really fucking flimsy, and I can still remember it was in my mum's wardrobe in the bedroom, and I found it, and then I would open it up when they weren't there, and I would take like the batteries. That's when batteries were like, batteries were ridiculously expensive back in the 70s.
Yeah, and nothing came with batteries included.
No,
so
batteries not included.
That's
batteries
it.
not included. So I used to take out I think I had to take the batteries out. It was the big, I think it was C size. You had this huge one like that.
Well, the big ones were the D's, weren't they? And then the C's were the next size down. That's it.
Do you remember torches of the 70s? There were huge, massive torches and the shittiest bulb, and it used these big, massive car batteries.
Yes, they all had to have D batteries in them. Yeah, that's right. They lasted about 3 days. Yeah.
You look like Arnold Schwarzenegger carrying his rubber torch.
Yeah.
The weight of the thing. But anyway, so I had to. Obviously, there was no batteries for it, and so when my mum and dad, I can't even remember. I don't know. They must have left it on my own at some point, and I would have to go and take the batteries out of the radio and to get enough to put into this, and then I had to make sure that I had it put up in the loft or back in the cupboard, and the batteries back into the radio before mum and dad came in. There was that and a microscope, and I remember playing in the microscope for weeks.
Yeah, I remember getting a microscope set. Yeah. I had a microscope set, a chemistry set, and an electronics set. And Del Boys mentioned there he got Big Track one year. I got one of those as well. I thought that was fucking great. I loved the old Big Track. That was fantastic.
That. Was it actually any good?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I loved doing that.
Did you get rid of it? Did you sell it?
The only reason I got rid of it is because, and this is another thing that used to happen a hell of a lot, the batteries fucking leaked and ruined it.
Really?
And that thing took a shitload of batteries. I think it needed something like, it was 4D batteries, and then you had to have one of the square 9-volt batteries for the actual keypad itself. Like,
they were a pain in the arse. And see the problem with these 9-volt batteries, apart from they were stupidly expensive. They're ridiculously expensive. You'd end up, in fact, hang on a second. This was my first ever. This is not the actual one. That's my first ever video game that I had.
Yep.
And if you open it up, it's got that. It's
and they always broke off.
And you're trying to bloody prize it, you'd end up breaking it.
Yeah, it did it. Broke it all the fucking time. I remember those.
And of course, your parents. They hardly bought batteries. I'm going to stop this video because that's going to be eating up bandwidth. There we go. What was I talking about? Yeah, because your parents didn't have a lot of money, they wouldn't buy you batteries. So what you would do is you would leave the batteries for a couple of days and put them back in. They would kind of get a bit of charge in them. And then you're getting desperate. Oh, there's a torch. We'll take the batteries out of that, and we'll take the batteries out of my sister's transistor radio. And
yeah. You always knew somebody who was like, the real lucky bastard who had a set of rechargeable batteries, and it was like, oh, if only I had rechargeable batteries, because you never got them. I never had rechargeable batteries, but yeah, there's someone, a school friend of mine who lived just down the road. Yeah, he had basically every sort of kind of rechargeable battery. So any of these things, yeah, he had no problem. He could use them whenever he liked. Cunt.
Was there ever a present that you would absolutely have killed for and you never ever got it, but you always wanted it, but you never got it?
yes, but I'm trying to remember what it was. It was almost certainly, because bearing in mind this is back at a time when I was still a Star Wars fan, so it was almost certainly something to do with like Star Wars toys, because I was a big collector of Star Wars toys then, and I was actually playing with them. I was only like 8, 9, whatever. So it was almost certainly something to do with that, but I couldn't for the life of me remember what it was exactly.
So what did you have then? Did you have quite a few? This would be the original figures,
Yeah,
presumably.
the original ones that started in '77. I think they carried on until '85. I think was the last year they were making them. I'd stopped bothering. I mean, in '85 I was at high school by then, so yeah, I wasn't bothering with them then.
And you probably gave them away or flung them in the bucket or something, did you?
Actually, no, I kept them for years, and it was only around. It was either 97, 98, that sort of time. And I found out just how collectible this fucking stuff was. I mean, they go for ridiculous money now if you've got the right ones. Um, and yeah, so I sold them on to collectors. And a lot of the time I did quite nicely out of it.
Yeah, you probably do quite nicely out of it, even more now, though, of course.
Well, nowadays, give you an example, the Jawa. Okay, remember that from the original.
I always liked that because it had the wee cloak and the wee eyes kind of thing. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's going on.
Now, if you had one of those from the original 1977 line, and it's still attached to its card, how much do you reckon that goes for?
Well, like unopened, or you've still got the
Yeah, unopened, still on the card.
unopened. Oh, I mean, you're probably talking. You're probably talking. I mean, I've seen like if you get the original Luke Skywalker and it's got the lightsaber, I don't know what, 4 grand, 5 grand or something.
You're not far off it. Yeah, it's somewhere around sort of like 3.5 grand for a fucking tiny little action figure like that.
I think I'm sure I can still remember in John Menzies where they were. I won't quite tell you where they were, but I can remember what part of the shop they were, and I must have been fucking pretty hard done by because my mum and dad bought me one, so I had to choose. So I went for Chewbacca, and he became. I think I had a rubber shark, and the great thing with Chewbacca was if you flung him into the bath, he would go bloop, and then he'd come up, and he would always come up his head above the water.
Yeah, yeah.
He was always getting eaten with jaws. So I got Chewbacca. And I always wanted C3PO because I just thought he looked really cool because he was all shiny. But I never got anyone else after that.
You went for two real major characters there, didn't you?
So what would I use Chewbacca without anything? What would that go for?
Oh no! If it's like that, you can't give it away.
Really?
Toy collectors and film memorabilia collectors are absolutely obsessed with condition. It has to be, practically mint, or they don't want to know.
Yeah, my mate, he's he's a big film buff, and when he used to go to the pictures, he would always ask for like the film posters that they had, and like the cardboard cutouts and all that.
Yeah.
In fact, my girlfriend, she used to she's fucking had more jobs than fucking anybody. There's virtually no place she's not worked at. Anything I've worked there, I've worked. It's crazy. Did you go up chimneys when you were a kid? I'm sure it was she worked in the cinema, one of the cinemas when she was working, she was like 14, 15 year old. And I'm sure she was a cardboard cutout. I think it was a Star Wars cardboard cutout or something, or was it Back to the Future? I can't remember. It was something like that. And and then she said she flung it out maybe about 10 years ago. I'm like, fuck these. And that was like the original. But to somebody for example, my Vectrex, which is up there, if somebody came in who wasn't into video games, they would take one look at it and say, that's fucking going in the bin.
Yeah.
Shit. So for somebody who's not into films, whatever, would look at that cardboard cutout, I don't know, C3PO, whatever. I think it might have been the one, maybe you had C3PO and R2D2 standing beside each other.
Yeah, I know the one, yeah.
It might have been that, but something like that. But so he used to go into the cinema, and that was back in the good old days when you could go into the cinema and you could just stay in and watch it 4 times.
Yeah, yes.
You didn't have, you just stayed in the cinema. Imagine doing that now.
You wouldn't have a fucking chance of doing it now.
But so he got all these posters, and fucking hell, that's, put it this way, he's got 2 kids now, and his posters are all up in the loft. But the posters that he got for nothing, then I think he did start buying. He's a massive Hammer House of Horror fan.
All right, yeah. So he's got good taste in films, then.
He's got all the real classics. I actually bought him a book. Me and him, we swapped Christmas presents, so I've got my Hammer book. I bought it. Arrived the other day there. But anyway, that's basically his. That's his. I wouldn't say it's a retirement story, but he's got it's. I think he told you he thinks probably 20 grand's worth of posters, and he got them for fuck all. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Film posters again. If you've got the right film, and well, to a degree, the right poster, but certainly the right film, yeah, people will pay. You could basically name your price.
Yeah, I think he told me that the most, I don't know if that's changed, the most expensive film poster is the original, it's either the original Frankenstein or the original King Kong, and it goes for something like 300,000 or something. It's mental.
It could well be one of those. Like I say, again, it depends on the film. If you've got one of the original ones of Vertigo, you know, the Hitchcock film, that's one that goes for a hell of a lot. Also, Citizen Kane, if you've got the original one of that, yeah, again, name your price, they'll pay it.
Let's see, eh? So I'm just looking down there. Did you ever get Meccano for your Christmas at all?
Sometimes I did have a bit of Meccano, not a hell of a lot. My dad was a big Meccano fan. When he was a boy, he had tons of it, and so I think that was one reason why they would buy me occasional Meccano sets to see if. I think my dad wanted to see if it would interest me as much as it did him. I'm not very good, sort of like mechanically minded, so it didn't really sort of like grab me as much.
Yeah, I think I got like the starter kit Meccano, and I'm sure, I think in the back of the box it had the giant Ferris wheel. You're like, oh, I can build that. Until you realise,
they always show that. Yeah,
it's like you know, this is not representative.
Yeah,
you know, arcade version, other versions, home versions may vary.
Yeah,
you're not going to build this Ferris wheel. You could maybe build like a shit car or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you can make a box. There you go. That's it.
And it's the same with like I've never. There's a lot of things that I don't get. Now I know some people are thinking fucking two old blokes sitting talking about video games on YouTube. But anyway, nothing wrong with that. Lego. I don't get the whole Lego thing. I understand that Lego is a toy that allows you to build things, but they've almost lost.
Well, yeah, I know where you're going with this, and I totally agree. It used to be that you used your imagination. You would take the bricks and get it to look as close to something as you could, but unless you're imagining it having built it. It never really did. I used to do that a lot when I was like really young. I had like the Lego Duplo sets, and I used to make what I thought were trains. And as far as I was concerned, it looked exactly like a train. Of course, it looked fuck all like one. But now you get like the specialist shaped bricks that are there to specifically go towards a set to make it really look like the thing it's being built. That you're putting together. It means that that's the only way you can use it. You can't build your own thing from this brick. It's just it's shaped for one thing only.
It's kind of like the mechanical, like the Lego version of a jigsaw. You can't get a jigsaw of a tiger and make it into a picture of a ZX81. It can only look like the tiger in the box. So you buy the Millennium Falcon if you've got enough money. You're stupid enough. And you can only build a Millennium Falcon with it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The fucking price of Lego now is
hundreds of
It's
pounds.
horrific. Have you seen? There's a Lego set you can get of sticking with the Star Wars theme. You can get a Lego Star Destroyer. How much do you reckon that is?
I'm sure I've seen. I've got a mate who's massively into Lego, though. I think he buys it's like imitation Lego from wherever, and he says it's just as good.
Yeah.
Is it like £200 or something?
Try 650 quid.
Jesus. For a set that only turns into a Star Destroyer and stuff.
Yeah. No, okay, yeah, it's a fair size. I think it's it's probably a good like 2.5 foot long, and I suppose it is relatively detailed. Believe it or not, there are videos on YouTube on there, and and it's always grown men who have made this thing. You sort of think, I wonder, is he married? um, and so you realise this thing is clearly aimed at people who have more money than sense. Well, yeah, you sort of like lose all hope for the human race when you see them showing off this thing.
They're probably Jedis. They make their extra money being a Jedi in real life.
You are, yeah. It'll be aimed at real Jedi, that's for sure.
But I understand, why people want to get a Lego set and build things. Just what you're saying, you think I'm going to build a car, or usually I built a house or a car, and that was about as far as it went because I had the real shitty starter set, which had like the rubber wheels, and they were, but it was good fun until you stood on a piece in your bare feet. But anyway, I just don't get why spend £600 on a Star Destroyer when you could probably buy a really good looking Star Destroyer for £100 instead of this blocky looking one for 600? I just don't.
Well, the problem is, especially with anything Star Wars related, the companies that make all of this guff, they know just how obsessed the fans are, and they charge ridiculous prices for any of it. So if you want, like, say, a model kit, like Airfix model kit or whatever, I don't think it's Airfix or anything, but you can get one of those, and I haven't even seen the price of it. I really don't want to see the price on it, but I suspect it's going to be more than 200 quid.
I really don't get it, because once you've built it, then
Well, I see, you're done with it.
you can take it to bits and then build it again if you want, but presumably when you've built it, then do you put it on display or something?
No, I would assume so, yeah.
It's a wee bit like, Oxus is saying there, yeah, Chinese knockoff Lego fraction price, yeah. My mate has bought a lot of that, he says it's just as good. In fact, there's Matt is saying there, I had seen that, I saw that on YouTube, that you can build that in NES, and it's 200 quid for a Lego NES console, which doesn't do anything. I genuinely, if anybody would like to try and convince me what the appeal of that is, then I'm open to offers. I just, by all means, buy my Star Destroyer for £600 and I'll build it, and I'll tell you if I think it's worth it or not.
I can tell you if it's worth it or not without having built it. If you want, I can save you 650 quid there.
And it's a bit. What was I going to say there? I simply don't get the whole Lego thing. I really don't. So moving on a wee bit. Dinky toys. Did you have any of them?
Not so much dinky toys. I had some like Matchbox toys and stuff like that. Didn't really have the dinky ones though. I mean, I guess a lot of the time the toy cars, when you were that age, you didn't care who made it. It's just as long as it was a car that you liked,
Matchbox, or was it Leslie? I think it was.
That does ring a bell, actually.
Aye,
Yeah.
it was Matchbox, but then when you looked underneath, it would have like Golf, Volkswagen Golf by Leslie. They must have been the company that produced them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it could well, but yeah, it could have been they were the parent company. And then you got like Hot Wheels, of course, but Hot Wheels didn't really go in for regular cars, did it? It was all these sort of like hot rods and that. It didn't look anything like anything you saw on the road.
Aye, and they had the extra fast wheels. One of my favourite games I used to play was I had. Do you remember the track that you slotted together? And
Yeah, I remember all that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you always had the loop there. Yeah,
and that was it. It was it was maybe about 6 feet of track. And what I used to end up doing was rather than the loop, I would just do a ramp and I would take it in turns. I would drop like all my cars to see who could land the furthest away and have a kind of competition.
Yeah. We all did that. Yeah.
You remember? Here's like a thing, and again, jumpers for goalposts. But I mean, when you think one of the games that I was talking about, a game that I always wanted, and I never got, and I forgot to actually answer my question. Well, there's two things. The first one was, do you remember the Cadbury's chocolate machine, the red machine with the chocolate?
It would always appear in like the Argos catalogue.
Aye, right,
I don't think I ever saw it. But I certainly remember it.
And I remember as a kid seeing that, and the 10-year-old main meister thought that if he had this chocolate machine, then it would like be infinite chocolate.
So you would never run out. Yeah.
And I never got it. I can't remember how much it was until about 10 years ago, and it was about that size. It was tiny. And it had like 10 squares of chocolate, and then it was like, that it? And then really when it went.
Yeah.
I was gutty. I thought, Jesus, that was, But no, the toy that I wanted, there's two things actually. In fact, there's three things. I mean, I don't know, my mum and dad must have hated me. Flight Deck. You remember Flight Deck?
Was that an Airfix thing?
It was. Basically, you had this. You had a what was it called again?
Well, you had like the Harrier jump jet, and you had what was supposed to look like the flight deck of an aircraft carrier.
It was really cardboard,
yeah. It had like the joystick control, and basically you pulled it back, it took off, and then you pushed it forward, and it went down again.
All it did was it was like a washing line that went round.
Yeah.
And it was this plastic cheapy airfix thing with a hook, and then all you did was you pushed the joystick forwards, which released the tension, which made the string sag, and then the thing would like fly down, and that was it. It was like so you did that, and it went, and then you put it back up, and then you went.
That
was the game. That was it. But the one I wanted was Super Flight Deck. It was yellow, and that actually, I don't know how it worked. You could actually, I don't know, it must have been an elastic band or something, but you could shoot this thing up. So it basically meant, it goes back to the laziness aspect. This thing would shoot up, and then it would land, and then you could shoot it up. Whereas the one I had, you had to manually sort of
no good with a manual one. No, you had to have it fucking shooting off by itself.
So I never got that. The other thing that I always wanted, was Subbuteo. I'm not into football at all. I don't like football, but I've always quite enjoyed like football games, unless it's fucking Kenny Dalglish's soccer and the Copter 64.
I had Subbuteo, and I used to really like playing that. Actually, I thought that was great.
It was.
I was still playing that when I was at high school. I was really big into that. The only problem was we didn't have a table big enough to set it up on. So we would always set it up on the floor, and you know exactly where this is going. Of course, someone came along, fucking trod on a load of your players. So many of my Subbuteo players, you can see around the top of the base and where their feet were, just like huge amounts of super glue there. constantly trying to stick the thing back together again.
Your granny comes out and stands in the goalkeeper. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Goalkeepers were the worst. They were always the ones that got broken more often.
how did it work again? I mean, I know yeah, you had to kind of like flick the. It was almost like marbles, eh? You kind of
Very similar thing. Yeah, flick
hit
the
the
players
ball
to
and you
hit the
hit
ball.
another
Yeah,
player. So
yeah.
how did you lose the ball if it hit an opponent's player? Was that
That's it. If it hit the opponent's player, then they had control, and then they were moving forward or whatever.
Aye,
I
aye.
mean, it was one of those where I mean it didn't actually bear much resemblance to football. I mean, for one thing, the ball was about at least the same size as the players. Um, but again, when you're a kid and that playing it, it's like you're in the FA Cup final or the World Cup final or whatever. It was great.
And you know what? You used to, and it sounds ridiculous now, but who the hell was it? Yeah, it was one of my exes had a wee boy, and I remember he was like about 4 or 5 years old, and I remember sitting watching the TV, and he would be like, "Yeah, I'm coming to get you, why get off of me? Oh, leave him alone." And I thought, and it seems bizarre watching a child doing that, but you did. Me and my best pal Derek, I've listened for years. You would play and you would, I'm going to get you. Like when Chewbacca was getting killed with Jordan Black, you had all the sound effects and leave him alone. And then Action Man would come to the rescue, and Action Man was always a baddie, and it was Lee Majors, the $6 million man. He was always a goodie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did have a few action men as well. Actually, I did also have the $6 million man one with that really useful feature of you pushing the button in his back there and his arms slowly raised up. Yeah.
It didn't go like that. It just went.
Yeah, it just went up straight. Yeah, that's right.
And then your mum would get it and she'd go, "Well, don't push that."
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it broke the switch. Broke the whatever it was in there, and that's it. It never works again. Yeah.
And you had the bit like that, and you rolled back the skin to reveal it's the
That's right. Yes.
variably fell out.
Oh, yeah, the skin always sort of like got peeled off, and then that robot bit fell out, and you never saw that again. So
And
yeah,
you lost one of its shoes, and then
yeah.
But anyways, getting back to Subbuteo, so I wanted Subbuteo, and I got Subbuteo rugby.
Oh, right. Yeah. I never. I saw it advertised, but I never actually saw it. All I remember was the rugby ball looked like it was about the same size as the entire squad of
That was the only bit of that. You know what? Even to this day, I know your face hard to believe. I could not figure out. I didn't understand. My dad was a massive rugby fan. I did not understand rugby at all. And then I got this fucking awesome view of rugby, and I'm like, I don't know where's the ball.
Yeah.
I wanted to play Subbuteo soccer or football, and the only thing that I used was as you say, it was a bit like, you remember Haunted House where you drop the marble down the chimney and it would go one of four directions. Well,
Vaguely, yeah.
Well, as you say, the rugby ball was about that size,
Yeah.
and you just drop the ball, and then it would either go there or there. It came out of like one of 6 directions, and that was all I did with it. It was like I think it just got chucked in the bucket eventually.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful rugby. She never even kept the receipt.
No, of course, nowadays, if I'm watching sports, I'd much rather watch rugby than football.
Oh, right. I mean, you wouldn't want to play Subbuteo rugby.
No.
How do you replicate tackling and wow?
Yeah, exactly. I just couldn't see how it could work.
And the last one, which I wanted, my mate had Scalextrics. I know this was fucking brilliant. Oh, that was back in the good old days when I remember he had a white car which was a bit tatty looking, but you could buy you could buy like a new car, and I remember he had this. Was it John Player Special. It was black, really sleek.
Oh, the Lotus F1 car.
It must have been, mid-70s.
Yeah.
And this Scalextric was awesome. Probably looking at it now, it was really, it was just a question of being able to eke as much speed out of it without the thing leaving the track, wasn't it? It was a pretty simple kind of concept, eh?
Well, I mean, I was a big Scalextric fan and still am. I have got a shitload of it.
Oh, wow.
And so yeah, the thing is, if you were to describe it, okay, basically you hold down the trigger and watch your car go around the track. It makes it sound staggeringly boring, but I guess obviously it helps if you're into motorsport, if you're into motor racing. If you're not, you are not going to be interested in Scalextric at all. But yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of Scalextric, since I was about like 4 years old.
Do you still use it? Does it still work?
It still works.
Oh, yeah.
I used it for a bit last year, but I haven't bothered with it this year yet.
Well, I always wanted that. Always wanted that. He had I think it was a figure 8 track, whatever it was. And so I asked my mum and dad, he didn't ask, he kind of hinted, the catalogue. Flicking, quick look at the women's underwear section and then on. Never mind YouPorn and whatever it is, YouTube, it was the women's underwear section.
Yeah, that's it, yeah, that's where you went to in those days.
You were really lucky your pal found a porn mag outside in a field somewhere.
Yeah, they were always found out in fields for some reason. I could never figure out why they got left there. Yeah, okay, I know now, but yeah, back then, no, I had no idea.
I went a couple of years ago, I was in a pub and a guy came up, says, "You Alan Stewart?" I went, "Aye." And I went, "Who are you?" You went to school with me. We used to play together. In fact, his family were the first to get a remote control for their TV. You could switch it on and off.
Right, was it a proper remote control, not the one with the 30-foot cable?
This was, I don't know what it wouldn't be Bluetooth. It would be, I don't know what.
Just the infrared. Yeah.
All you could do is switch it on and off. I don't think you could even. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe you could change the channel, but so yeah, you could switch it on and go up and you press the channel button and sit down again. But he had his family. I always remember he had that. But he told me who he was. Like, oh Christ, we used to play together, and he goes, I remember you used to have your dad built you it's called a treasure box, which my dad built for me and my sisters. We put all our things. So you used to save all the page 3s and keep them in this box. I can't remember that.
Yeah, we all did that as well. Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know. My mum and dad they wouldn't have bought the Sun. I don't know where the hell I got them.
That means you bought it yourself, didn't you?
Probably that field had them, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. It was obviously a local pervert that would, dump it. But anyway, so I wanted. I don't know how I'm going to the thing of that. I wanted Scalextrics, and that'd be great. Christmas Day came, and there's a big box. I'm like, oh, wait till you open this. Hey, train set.
Don't tell me you didn't like the old train set. Come on, every boy had a train set, back then.
Not to forgo Scalextrics. Who in their right mind would want a bloody train set over Scalextrics?
Well, it could have been worse. Do you remember TCR?
Well, yeah, that was a game that I always wanted. I never ever got to see it, but the TV advert made it look bloody awesome.
Yeah, it made it look, really great. In reality, it definitely wasn't. We had a set. In fact, I only got rid of it quite recently. We still had the receipt from when my dad bought it for me for Christmas. And he bought it in 1978. So I was 6. And it hardly ever worked. And that was the same everywhere. The thing basically had no development testing. They just got it out on the market as soon as they could. It was so unreliable. And then when it did work, the cars, you would always get like one car that fucking blitzed around the track within, like a second, lap after lap after lap. The other car, it just crawled along, and you just could never get it to actually go, at any sort of like speed. It was awful.
Excuse me, what you saying? That's all right. I was going to say, it's funny how I think there was a lot of things back in the 70s. I think probably the quality control and was pretty poor back then, wasn't there? So things.
Well, that's if there was any to begin with, I think.
The one that my mate had. I had a mate who was extremely spoiled. We would look at the catalogue. He would pick like, I would circle. Maybe I didn't circle. I'd like that. I'd maybe pick 10 different things. I would get maybe one of the expensive things and a wee cheaper one. He would get everything. And he had this thing. What the hell was it called? Was it called maybe Cops and Robbers or something? And it was basically. It was about the size of a Monopoly board, and it was like Scalextric. It was like a real track, but
was it Race and Chase?
No, it wasn't Race and Chase. No,
okay, I remember that. It sounded quite similar to what you were describing there.
No, this was more basic. Basically, the cars, there was a cop car, and there was a baddies car, whatever you want to call it, and they moved very, very slow. And you were the one who played the part of the cop car, one played the part of the cop, the other thing. And you could press buttons to change, if you press it, then it would go that way. So the cop car you would divert that in a different direction, and you were trying to keep the cop. It was kind of like bloody Pac-Man, really, but with cars, and you just moved really slow. And I'm sure it was something like it was Cops and Robbers. But that was great. It wasn't fast action at all. But I remember Race and Chase. Did that not have like a jump?
Yeah, well, it had like the figure of 8. And there was a jump, but it would flip, wouldn't it? So you would drive over it, and then it would flip up. So if the car that was coming along behind you, they would come off and crash or something. Because, of course, back then, car crashes were everything, especially when you were a kid. None of this health and safety bollocks. Yeah, we want to make sure this thing crashes, it goes up in flames almost.
Yeah, so I got my train track, and needless to say, I tried to use it for what it was. I didn't have any. I think I had some trees and a couple of bits and pieces, and I had enough track to do like an oval or
an oval, yeah.
And it's like. That's just fucking riveting, There's only so much you can do watching this.
I did used to like the old train set. That was another way. My dad was when he was a boy, he had a pretty good train set, and he would get me like train set stuff to try and get me interested. And I was always interested actually. So I used to love the old train sets.
I would have probably liked it, but I wanted to race. I wanted a Scalextric set, and what I ended up doing is I had one. Again, it was crazy. It was the Evening Star, which I think was the last steam train in.
Last steam train, yeah, that's it.
I had the Evening Star, and it was pristine condition, and I ended up just as a kid. It was completely wasted on me. I ended up ruining it, and then I had this little. It was just a little locomotive, and it used to go really fast. And I just used to. I ended up the transformer that I had. You turned it like from 1 to 10, and that would increase the speed of the train. And I ended up like the two cables that came out the transformer. You had like minus and plus, whatever it would be. You slotted it into the track, which obviously gave it power. And I used to take them out. And I would touch some like you got a 2p piece. And
you got all the sparks shooting off it.
Like a magnet, and you could hear the power. The power would go, and you get smoke coming from it. So I ended up just using it for that, and then I ended up taking the train and like putting the train on top of a table and then touching the wires on its wheels, so they'd start spinning and it'd go like.
Yeah, it could go at a fair old rate, yeah.
Start coming out, and I think I literally ended up burning them out, and I mean I was. It ended up going in the bloody bin. I mean, I ruined the train set, but wanted. I could even remember putting the track on a hill to see if I could get the thing to climb a hill. So
we all did that one, yeah.
So I was utterly ruined on me, but it's not my fault. I wanted Scalextric. I also wanted Subbuteo football. And I got fucking rugby. I mean, what were you thinking, Mum and Dad?
Yeah.
Dearie me. Anyway, listen, I think I did say we'd stick to an hour. We've kind of overran it by about 55%, as always. Right, I think we're going to leave the questions for tonight. Yeah, listen, apologies for we've kind of. Let's just take one last. A couple of questions. The older gamer Steve. Computer car. You stuck car.
Don't mean a thing to me.
You slid in a cardboard shape that moved down and steered the car. That sounds like a 70s toy if ever there was.
Oh yeah, it certainly sounds like it came from the 70s, but it doesn't
basically
mean a thing to me.
Before we finish, Evel Knievel, I loved that. The stunt cycle, I had that was the one I had. I had a cracking big box. I had the original one, but the first thing I did was just get rid of the Evel Knievel because it worked better without him on it.
Yeah, I mean, Evel Knievel himself was an absolute scumbag, wasn't he? He was a real cunt, that bloke. I never had any of the Evel Knievel toys. My next door neighbour had them though, and we used to set up some, shall we say, ambitious stunt tracks for it to do. And of course, never got anywhere near being able to do it. But yeah, I never had one myself.
I'm just Ox is saying that I still remember the advert from the 70s. And the advert, I wish I could. I'm not going to bother bringing it up. The advert, you see the kid going like that, and then off he goes. Well, for starters, they must have had Evel Knievel like staples to the bike because it was so flimsy, it would just fall off. It was like,
yeah.
So it would fall off. And the one in the advert, I can still remember the advert. He went into a ramp, like a dirt ramp, and he did a somersault. And that was utterly impossible to do with it.
Yeah, there was no way you were going to do that. No.
And of course, I mean, it just literally wouldn't. You wouldn't be able to sell that now because Evel Knievel. Do you remember the little toys that you got? It was effectively just like if you imagine a hangman head, 2 arms, body and legs. It was like wire, and then over the wire was like rubber.
Yeah, that's right.
All these different things, and they wouldn't stand. You would bend it in to stand, and the leg would be twisted the wrong way, and it would just fall. It was probably like lead or something that they used in these things, and
it probably was. Yeah. They didn't give a shit then.
You would bite the leg off, and you got the bare wire, and you would chew that.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you remember, before we go, do you remember these things? They were massive in the 70s, and it was what was the best way to describe it? It was like fucking emu, that dreaded.
Oh fucking hell!
It was like the emu head, and then it was imagine a pencil, and you had the emu head in the top, and underneath was like the bottom of what do you call it? What do you think you use in chemistry when you put liquid into them?
Test tube.
Test tube. The wee bottom was like a glass circle, and it actually had mercury in it, and it was on a pivot, and this thing would go like that, boop, 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 and it would be pretending it's feeding. And it was the mercury that kept it going, and apparently these were. I remember my granny buying me one for Blackpool, and I think they were like ridiculously dangerous because they had fucking mercury in them.
Yes, yeah. Yes, mercury is, it is a bit on the dodgy side, that stuff.
Do you remember these real shitty, I don't know, I mean, you still get them now, you go into some of these like haberdashery shops and there's an advert going and it advertised something and it wasn't Slinky. Slinky was a metal spring.
Yeah, Slinky was fucking useless.
It
Never
was
worked
shit.
that thing.
It
Yeah,
always got tangled and then it went.
yeah, fucking waste of time that thing.
But the thing that I was thinking of, it was basically, it was meant to be a magical worm, and it was kind of bizarre. It was like made of kind of fur, and it basically had a string. And in the advert, you see the guy going like that, and the thing's moving up and doing his arm, and it was just it was a piece of like fishing like the fishing line, and all you were doing is pulling it. But
right, okay.
it was a magical worm. It was like going in and out his fingers. I don't remember that.
I can honestly say I don't remember that. I'm wondering if you were maybe having a bad trip when you saw that.
You didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything at all. But anyway, listen, guys, we're going to have to call it a day. Apologies for lack of questions. Thanks to everybody who's joined me tonight or joined us tonight. It was very, very short notice. It's been a good blast. It's been good having you on back again, Mr. L. I will see you next week anyway for another Sid show. This remains for me to say I hope you all have a good weekend. Until later, take care and thanks for watching.